more than 160 people are still missing. And this is all because of that catastrophic flash flooding that swept through Texas Hill Country. And rescue crews are going house to house. They're very worried that the death toll could still go up. So as all of this is happening, there's also a lot of finger pointing. A lot of like, what could we have done, which always happens when there is a catastrophic event, and it immediately became political. A lot of people are saying, well, there were cuts over here, and did that play into it? We had our meteorologist, Ted Beener, join us, and he said, at least when it comes to the National Weather Service, they did have full staffing there. Mm-hmm. And, there are things that he said, and you should read it on mynorthwest.com, because he actually had some concrete things that could happen that would help in the future, including better warning systems and at that camp, what could have been done at that camp, since it was next to Guadalupe River, and there were all those young girls there and their counselors who are now either missing or dead. But in the midst of all of this, we're hearing this, and I hate to even give him attention, but I really want y'all to listen to this, because this is Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk, who had the audacity to share some of his thoughts on what contributed to the death toll.
The Democrats, they're so despicable. The Democrats are not lifting a finger to remember the well over 100 people that have died in Texas Hill Country. What you are not being told by the media anywhere is that the death toll likely would not have been as high if it wasn't for DEI. This Texas tragedy is just the latest example. It's not just incompetence. This is DEI working to undermine meritocratic institutions, and more people likely died than otherwise would have because of DEI.
And I'm looking at that and like, how could he possibly be blaming DEI? And then it turns out, because he is blaming the Austin fire chief for the delayed response, the Austin fire chief who happens to be black. So this is an example of DEI that contribute. Like, are you serious?
Yeah, it's crazy, huh? We all know who President Lyndon B. Johnson is, right? The president that took over once John F. Kennedy was assassinated, President Lyndon B. Johnson. And he said a quote, and you can look it up yourself. And he said this way back in the 60s. And in that quote, Ursula, he says, if you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. He'll give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you. Charlie Kirk, people like Charlie Kirk, every single day, they are giving people what they want. There are people that want to hear that. There are people that want to hear that, okay, there's a black man in charge. DEI is the reason for all of the deaths, the 120 so far that are dead, for the 180 that are still missing. And while they do that, while they hear that type of filth from Charlie Kirk, other things can be happening at the same time. So, if somebody said, hey, why do you even give Charlie Kirk the time? Because what we don't want, see, what has happened right now in our country, Ursula, people are getting so used to the anti-black, anti-brown, anti-women, anti-LGBTQ. This whole hysteria that is happening, people are just letting it go. So now it's becoming so commonplace. It is so to say the quiet part out loud.
And so I'm glad you brought that up, because, we often get whether it's why do you bring up someone like Charlie Kirk, or why do you always talk about racism? I mean, you're all laughing, but how? There's not a day that goes by that we're not asked, why do you bring up racism? Racism isn't such a problem anymore. Are you kidding me?
You know,
I mean, what is Charlie Kirk saying? And for anyone who agrees with him, I mean, in the midst of all this tragedy, to point that, and by the way, what they're saying about the Austin fire chief and the response by the Austin Fire Department, which is not exactly right next to where all of this is happening, by the way, but it's bringing in additional resources at a time of tragedy. There's going to be a lot of blame to go around and a lot of lessons, but to go directly to DEI is so telling. And for people to jump on it like, yeah, that's DEI after a plane crash. Yeah, that's DEI after. It's so telling, and there's a part of me that just wishes, like, can't we go back to the time when people didn't feel so comfortable saying that?
I mean, you wouldn't say this out loud, right? You wouldn't say, "Oh, that happened because of black people." You wouldn't say that happened because of women.
No.
You wouldn't say, "Oh, that plane crashed because someone's gay."
Yeah.
You wouldn't say that, but you can say this happened because of DEI.
And what are you trying to say because of DEI? What is DEI to you? Having unqualified people in these positions, would you not say Peter Hegseth is a DEI hire?
Didn't earn
That
it.
is someone, he didn't earn it.
Yeah. You know, I said something about 3 years ago on social media. And actually, I got called in about what I said. And let me continue to say it. The truth never expires. Mm-hmm. And it's all documented. And so just the same way you see a pendulum that goes too far one way, hey, just remember, everybody, it's going to swing back. And when it swings back, all of the people, the problem is, see, Meemaw was able to hide Papa's Klan robe. Grandkids were able to keep those secrets and keep them in the chest downstairs in the footlocker. You see, all of this stuff that you guys are doing on social media, this is forever. And so whenever it does, and it will swing back, and when it does, all of the people, the contributors that made money off of this stuff, that said the nasty stuff, that were anti this, that were anti that, I ain't got to worry about it. Because I tell you right now, my grandkids and my great-grandkids, when they hear all this stuff, and I'm going to say it again, I'm on the right side of history. The Charlie Kirks of the world, to telling people that the folks in Texas are dead because of DEI, that's the wrong side of history. And by the way, there is no both sides. Either human decency or not.